How you doing, YouTube? Matt Massa Beer Reviews back with a little bit of bourbon barrel aged hopeful goodness in a can in the form of Big Bag Baptist Imperial Stout from Epic Brewing in a can. I didn't know they did this in a can. You learn something new every day. This is a stout with cacao nibs, and coffee added and aged in whiskey barrels. There's a little bit of story time on there, but we'll skip it. Sent to me from the boys at the Westvale Liquor Mart out there in Colorado. They wrote me a week or two ago. By the time I post, probably a month or so ago. And they were just like, hey man, we watch your reviews all the time here at the shop, and we'd love to send some beers off to you. So they sent me a couple cans of beer. Did a couple of mystery beers in there. That is a good thing. So thank you very much, guys. Label-wise, it's epic. I kind of like the whole weird kind of Jesus-y thing going on. So take that for what it's worth. So I can get down with that. A little blasphemy in a can never hurt anybody. And as far as that looks, that is motor oil. That is thick, deep, dark richness. Yeah. Darkness. Let's get a nose. The coffee and roasted malt are the leader of the way here. I mean, you do get a barrel char in there. You do get a bit of a whiskey in there. You do get a little bit of soft baker's chocolate in there, but it's really a roasted malt bitteriness with that nice rich coffee and that coffee bitteriness kind of leading the way. It just comes off as a really rich, dark roasted coffee in a beer form. This is a coffee beer more than a barrel-aged beer, more than a stout to me. This is a coffee beer. Not a bad thing. They even say right here, it says copious coffee. They also say ultra premium. I have a rule, anytime you put premium on a can, it kind of means the beer is going to suck, but there's always exceptions to the rule. But yeah, coffee on top of coffee on top of coffee. And barrel char coming up a second. Let's dive in. Cheers. It's a coffee beer. It doesn't get nearly as sweet as you would expect. I mean, you're talking about a big, huge barrel-aged beer. I'm assuming, I didn't even see an ABV yet. I'm assuming this is 12%, give or take. They actually call that out on here? I don't know if they do. What does it say in the can? 11.9. How about me? And this was Best by April 2020. Yeah, I hate the Best By stuff. Anyway. You'd expect, a 12% barrel-aged stout to really come off huge and sweet. It's not getting there. It's a sweet beer in the grand scheme of things. It has to be at 12%, but the way that coffee, the way that roasted malt, the way the hops are kind of tempering down, even the barrel char to a certain extent is keeping that sweetness from coming ahead is pretty freaking cool. Nice, creamy mouthfeel. I mean, it's thick, but it almost has like a porter-like vibe to it, which comes off really fun. But in the grand scheme of things, while you're getting a little bit of bittering from the hops, you're getting a nice roasty, toasty, smoky barrel char. While you're getting that cool kind of mix of that dense mouthfeel and that porter vibe. And you're getting kind of different layers of semi-sweet and baker's chocolate. It is really a combination of the roasted malt and that coffee. More importantly, the coffee and the bittering kind of driving the beer forward. It ends up making itself way more drinkable than it should be at its ABV. And it just comes off to me more like a coffee beer instead of a beer that has coffee in it. That is not necessarily a bad thing. More often than not, I'll sit here and I'll get on a soapbox and talk about, in the grand scheme of things, you always like to have a beer. Be a beer first, and then whatever kind of adjuncts or thing they're trying to do with it, secondary. But sometimes you just want a really coffee-forward beer. And, in a can, barrel-aged beer that speaks about copious amounts of coffee, you're kind of giving me exactly what you're telling me on the label. And I dig that. So yeah, I like it. I think it's fun. It's been forever since I've had a Baptist beer. The Big Bad Baptist, we get out here, come in the big bomber bottles. And it's had to be like 3-4 years since I've had one. We can get them. They're all over the place, but they usually run a little bit pricey, so I don't pick them up. But I don't remember it being this coffee forward. This particular one, I assume this is the base version, and then they do this probably in the bottles with a bit of fuckduckery. But as far as a coffee beer first, Imperial Stout second, barrel aged beer third, because that's kind of the way those vibes come off to me. It's a cool mixture of all those together. They're all readily apparent. They're all tasteable. But man, if you're looking for a coffee beer, this one is kind of hard pressed to beat because it's coffee forward and it's only accentuated by that roasted malt kind of popping that coffee up even more. So let's talk about it. It's one of the better barrel-aged stouts that I've had as of late. Adjunct barrel-aged stouts. Yeah, it is. Maybe, not Mount Rushmore status, but pretty damn tasty stuff. Night availability. I assume it's going to be a much different price point out where this stuff is born as opposed to out here. But out here, I think these bottles, the bombers usually run in the mid-20s. I don't know what these are. Maybe guys from Westvale can let us know what's what and leave you with, if you like what we like this beer, if you like coffee beer. Done and done. I mean, you could like barrel-aged beer, you could like stout, you could like all that stuff, but really, this is wheelhouse for people that dig on coffee beers. So if you dig on coffee beers, you'll dig on this. There you go. Another little review in the books. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Down there if you want to talk about it. Massive Beers if you want to check me out, do the social media stuff. Beer Massive if you want to check me out, do the whole podcasting thing. And hopefully you guys enjoyed our review. Hopefully enjoying a little coffee beer right now. And hope to see you next time. Cheers.